Are you like me and find that your pets feel more like kids than just pets? For many of us, including empty nesters, our pets become our new family and they bring joy and love and lessons. Now, I will admit, I have two Shih Tzus. They are 5 years old and they do feel more like my kids than pets. They're completely spoiled, and I feel like that is what they're here for, to spoil and to teach us lessons. And it's one of my favorite topics. So studies say that about 50% globally of people have a dog or a cat in their household. Many have a mix of dogs, maybe a dog and a cat, a couple of dogs and a cat. That's a very common thing, especially in the US. And dogs are slightly more popular in households than cats, but cats rank up there as well as being of the favored pets to have as part of one's family. And this is not just for people over 50, but a lot of people even younger see their pets as part of their family, maybe their children, if not their children, at least part of their family. I think one of the cool things about pets, at least, for instance, I'll take Sadie and Jake. They are both Shih Tzus, both full-blooded Shih Tzus, but their personalities are completely different. And every pet that you've ever had, you can look back at and think, yes, their personality was completely different. Could be the same breed, and of course, with the breed comes specific characteristics that they have. However, other than that, their personalities are completely unique. Sadie is more on the quiet side. She doesn't really bark all that much, very rarely, maybe at the mailman. That's about all she barks at. Whereas Jake, on the other hand, he's very vocal, he's very expressive, and he barks sometimes just because. I don't know. He's very expressive. He has very expressive eyes. And so their personalities are strikingly different, even though they're the same breed, they're the same age. And I find that with all of my pets that I've had, their personalities are so unique and different, and they teach us lessons. I remember as a child, we always had dogs. They would find us. We always had at least one dog, but we moved around a lot. And as we moved, we often couldn't take our dog with us, and we would have to rehome him or her. And I would be so heartbroken because I felt such a connection to the dog. I felt like the dog whisperer, like I knew what my dog was thinking. And then I would lose that dog and I would cry and cry for weeks. And finally we would move somewhere and we would get another dog. And then that dog would become my world. And my dog was like my best friend as a child. And after going through so many heartbreaks of giving up our dogs as a young child, I think I built a shield around my heart. And as I became an adult, I could have gotten a dog, but I just chose not to because I just didn't feel that connection anymore. I completely shut it down. And I didn't realize it until I went off to college and I was living in a small town, and I had a roommate at the time and she wanted to get a dog. This was in the 90s, so we still had newspapers. And she was looking in the newspaper and she says, "Oh, look, there's a puppy that got abandoned. There's two puppies that got abandoned. Let's go see them." And I was like, okay. I wasn't against it. I was like, sure, let's go. I mean, I was pretty much open to anything at that time. I was in college and things were all new for me at the time. So we went to go see the puppy, and they actually had two. The female, somebody had already adopted him. And apparently the two puppies, the people had told us that they found them in the back alley and the mother had abandoned them. And we looked at the male was left. The female had already been taken, and we looked at the male, and he was so tiny. He was a Pekingese cross. He looked very Pekingese, but his hair didn't grow all the way to the ground like a purebred Pekingese would. So he had something else in him, probably whatever jumped the fence, I guess. So she was like, "Oh, I want to have him. I just have to have him." And so she was driving and we took him, and I was holding him as we went home, and he was so tiny. I mean, I looked at him and our eyes locked, and he had these huge Pekingese eyes, and our eyes locked, and he looked at me and he was so pitiful, so helpless. And I don't know, something happened in that moment, but I wasn't sure quite what it was. And so we got home, and as much as she was like, "This is my dog," and she was so happy with my dog, he clearly favored me. And I remember the first night he was on the floor and we made a little bed for him, but he was whimpering and crying. And just broke my heart. So I picked him up and I put him on the bed. I put him under my arm. He wanted to sleep under my arm. He was so tiny. And I didn't sleep much that night because I was so scared I would roll on him and crush him because he was so tiny. So after that was it. That he was the dog that opened my heart back up to being able to love dogs again. And I completely fell in love with him. He lived till he was 18 years old. He was very healthy in his entire life. He had a little arthritis in his older age, but other than that, he pretty much died of old age, basically. His body just wore out, but he was the best dog. And I think when I look back at that, I think I'm so grateful that he came into my life because he opened that door for me to really love pets again. No matter what we do, our pets don't judge us. They don't think, oh, gee, she's doing that again. They're not wired to think that way. That's not how their brain thinks. They think we're the best thing ever. We're the best thing since sliced bread, as they say. And they make us feel that way. Absolutely. No matter how much we spoil them, they still make us feel like we are the center of their world. And we are, because when you get them as puppies, if you get them as a puppy or a young dog, you have them throughout their life until the end. They don't go off to college. They're always your baby. Our pets don't hold grudges against us. Even bath time, they get over that pretty quick too. They don't hold grudges, and they just live in the moment. I remember when Jake was a puppy, I remember watching him, and he was just playing with his toy one minute, asleep the next minute, eating the next minute, going potty the next minute, out in the yard the next minute, and every single thing that he did, he was in that moment. He wasn't worried about the past. He wasn't thinking about the future. He wasn't thinking of what he's going to do in a couple of minutes from now. And that is true mindfulness. And if you've been in the spiritual world, you've heard that a lot, of being mindful, being in the present moment, living in the present moment, and how that brings us peace. And it's very difficult for humans to do. But for pets, it's natural. They naturally live in the present moment. They're not worrying about anything else except what they're doing right now. And it's beautiful to watch. If you observe your pets, you can learn so much from them every day. So another benefit of owning pets is there's health benefits to owning pets. The studies have shown that they have therapy dogs for a reason. They go into hospitals for children that are sick or the elderly, because petting a dog or a cat, it lowers cortisol levels, which is our stress hormone. So it brings our stress levels down. Of course, like I said earlier, pets provide unconditional love. Another health benefit of if you own a dog, is you walk your dog, you're getting exercise. This is a good thing. Maybe you bring your dog to a dog park and you meet other people that have dogs. And if you're a pet parent and you have dogs, you have tons of things to talk about. There's an instant connection, I think, when you're at a dog park and you see others with their dogs, and then you talk about their personalities, and it's like you're talking about your kids. It's very interesting, but that's a social health benefit. So many of us over 50 see our pets as children, especially in later years, empty nesters, and the bond is valid, beautiful, and it's life-giving. Jake and Sadie remind me every day that life doesn't have to be complicated. Love, loyalty, and joy are right beside us if we're paying attention. If this video resonated with you, let me know in the comments. And do you have pets that you consider part of your family or even your children? Let me know in the comments, and let me know their names. I love hearing pet names. I think it's cool how people name their pets. And I will talk to you on the next video. Please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. And I'll talk to you soon.